Can I steal you for a minute?
Steal you for a minute?
Can I steal you for a minute?
Welcome to Can I Steal You for a Minute, the reality dating recap podcast. My name is Indra Raj.
And I'm Mary Bianco.
And we are back for a second episode this week because there's too much content and we have to talk about Love is Blind UK.
We have to, and it deserves its own episode. I mean, we also both did watch 9 episodes.
Right. We literally have to cover 9 episodes today, so it will be a full episode. But and if you are not watching it, like, I highly recommend it. I actually think I'm enjoying it more than the US versions.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like, I don't know. It's interesting.
I'm really, really liking it, and I'm also appreciating seeing this like other side to British society in a way, because there's not as much like crazy plastic surgery and like strappy Princess Polly dresses, and the makeup is very normal, and I'm like, okay, so it does exist. It's not just
like there are real people in the UK who like aliens.
Exactly.
Which is definitely a Love Island UK vibe. And speaking of Love Island, before we get into our recap, there are some rumors circulating about the Love Island USA reunion, which filmed 2 nights ago now.
I think so.
Okay. So we're recording on Friday, so that was Wednesday. And this episode is going to drop on Monday, which is actually when the reunion is going to air. So Mary, you're up on all the goss. Tell us what's going on.
I've had a lot of TikTok. Also, just as like a housekeeping note, I'm going to be live memeing the Love Island reunion finale. So everyone join us on Instagram. I will not be live memeing The Bachelorette because I think that this reunion is going to take precedent over even hometowns. So Jen's memes will be up Tuesday probably, but Monday night, join us over on Instagram. We're going to be going off on there.
Memeing it up.
Memeing it up. And they won't all be winners. It's going to be like the meme version of word diarrhea, but just got to get it out there.
Got to get it out there. That there's just so much.
There's so much. I mean, it hasn't even filmed and there's already so much. So the first thing that I saw was they all met at 6 p.m. to start recording the finale, the reunion.
Okay. And where were they doing it? Do we know?
Somewhere in New York. I don't know. Maybe some studio. They were leaving a hotel that I think is in Chelsea. So I think that it's some studio around there. They had like a very basic cutie pie week in New York. Like they went to Carmine's, like Italian restaurant, and then a Broadway show. And then they went to the top of the Rock and took pictures there, and all this just very like, I mean, maybe they filmed at 30 Rock because it's a Peacock show.
Actually,
maybe they filmed there.
Good point. They probably did.
Yeah, they probably filmed there, which is fun for them.
It is.
But before that even started, a producer, it seems like, of Love Island accidentally posted something to her main story that was meant to go on her close friend story on Instagram. And it said, it had the timestamp. They got there at 6. It had the timestamp 11 p.m. And it said, we haven't even begun filming.
Wild. Thank you,
Kayla and Aaron, for all the drama and delays. So, I mean, if this whole reunion is just Kayla and Aaron fighting, I'm gonna be pissed. Like, I just don't care about that anymore.
I don't care about it. Like, the relationship is toxic. I don't really like either of them. Like, I really don't like Aaron.
No.
I don't really care about Kayla. Like, I don't think I don't like her, but I just think, like, she's young, she's dumb, she's making bad decisions. We've seen it all before. Like, it overtook so much of the season that I'm like, I am so much more interested in what's going on with everyone else on this cast. Like, I truly could not give a shit about this couple.
I hope it's like 5 to 10 minutes, but like, I also don't know if I believe her because she's been kind of on this, like, she went on TikTok and she was like, I need help picking out my revenge dress for the reunion and I need to look good because like I'm single, whatever. And then she's screaming at people being like, me and Aaron are done, whatever. And while she's on her phone, her background is a picture of her and Aaron. So it's is that not the first thing that you'd change?
Yeah, like literally it stares you in the face all day.
All day. Like I know friends of mine will be in a fight with their boyfriend or their husband and they'll change their background for the fight. Because they're like, I don't even want to look at him right now. So if you're broken up, you're background and you're 22 years old, your iPhone background is not going to be, it's not like you're my 67-year-old mother who's like, oh my God, my granddaughter keeps changing my background and I can't fix it. Like, you know how to fix it. Like,
it's giving so thirsty.
So
like,
thirsty.
The thirstiest thirst I've ever seen. And like, there's nothing more like unattractive, uninteresting to me than someone who's just thirsty as fuck.
I know.
And like,
I just, ugh.
It's like, I feel like there's still like butthurt that they weren't in the finals and like that people didn't love them. And it's like, whose fucking fault was that?
Yeah.
It's not anyone's fault but your own, especially Aaron. Like, what the fuck?
And I think it's like riding the wave of what they think people want from them. Like, Taylor can see that the public wants her to be broken up with Aaron and maybe like feeding into that. I don't know. So I'll be curious to see how it goes.
Yeah.
More concerningly, and I'm worried about this, is Daniela from Casa Amor posted a video crying on TikTok right after the reunion. She was like really, really shaken up and
oh my
did
God.
a PSA about just like suicide awareness. Because she just felt that some of the hate that people are getting is like heading over into that territory. And one thing she referenced is the suicides that, and I'm sorry I didn't give a trigger warning at the beginning of bringing this up, but the suicides of the people that are on Love Island UK. And this is something we talked about, the concern that like as this gets more popular, more bad eyes are getting on it and people who like love to bully just to cause chaos and whatever. And so while we are being critical of people on this show, we do not support bullying somebody to the point where they feel like they need to kill themselves, obviously. No. Do I think that people should be held accountable for being an absolute dickhead and playing with people's emotions? Yes, but you don't need to like dox them and like threaten their family and like...
and harass them.
Like, just get over it. Like,
I feel like the stuff we see in the comments is already
so bad,
awful. But then it's like, you have to imagine what's going on in these people's DMs. Like, there's got to be just trolls, like just sending them hateful shit all the time. And like, and not even that, like, I don't know. Like, there's no way I can know what it's like for this to happen, but like, it's just, I don't know. You just have to imagine that like, it's all very overwhelming for these relatively young people who didn't realize they were going to be famous, like, like this famous.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, people's threshold for being able to handle criticism is different.
Yeah.
And that's really, Daniela seemed like a really just nice person. I don't know. I don't like I have no qualms with her. I feel like there were people giving her shit for like being a Casa Amor girl.
Right. They had a job to do.
She made connections because she was supposed to.
Yeah.
Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, whatever.
Yeah. I think I got the vibe from the video that it wasn't on her behalf. I think she's worried about other people on the show.
Okay.
So I think like I think she was just more just being like, just be kind to everybody. Because I think she's had a good following. And then I guess Kane found out some things that were said about him at the reunion and he was not there. And he was like, I'm going to go off. So I guess we'll see from Kane.
We know Kane has no shame when it comes to that.
No shame. He's like, this is the thing I regret most in my entire life is going on the show. And I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he hated it. Yeah, he hated it.
I appreciate that. Love you, Kane.
No, me too. I honestly, like, I think more people should talk about that. Like, this can really suck. And it's not for everybody. Yeah. And like, that's what I've loved about Leah post Love Island is she's like, yeah, it's great now, but I was really, really unhappy and X, Y, and Z happened. And so I'm just very curious to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I think I'm just wondering like who Daniela could have been referencing. Like, would it be Kaylor and Aaron?
I don't think so. I think it might be Sierra and Andrea.
Andrea, yeah.
Sierra posted after she was like, peace out, New York. Hope I'm in a better headspace next time I'm here. Like, I think Sierra, like, not that anybody deserves to be bullied again, has been running her mouth on social media. And
she has? Oh, yeah, okay.
And I think and so is Andrea, and I think both of them got called out at the reunion. And I think that maybe some of those comments are going too heavy on them, but I'm also like,
you know what that makes me worried more about? I mean, not more, but another thing that worries
I know
me
what you're
now
gonna say,
is
yeah.
like PPG taking it too far, you know? Like,
yeah, I don't know if it's them, because Leah did comment on Danielle's video being like, love you so much, thank you for posting this. What I'm kind of worried about, and maybe this is like me as a selfish viewer, is that instead of being like, hey, you said X, Y, and Z online, that was really fucked up, it's going to be this like, let's be kind to each other. And it's like, I just think that Andrea has talked such a big game. And I do not want anyone telling her that she should not be on this earth anymore and whatever. But she's been really fucked up since she's left the villa. And so she should be, if she wants to talk, if she wants to talk a big game online, she has to be held accountable at the reunion. If you're going to bring it up and you're going to say 100. All these things.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then there was a photo of Liv with like what appeared to be a big bruise on her face. I don't know what happened. Like,
what?
I don't know what happened. Like,
whoa. Okay. Well, hopefully that's just like some freak.
Yeah,
whatever.
Maybe it's like a rash or something. I don't know. I was just like, I do not know what happened. So Monday will be interesting. Tonight, Friday, I'm going to that event at the 92nd Y.
Have they said who the special guests are yet?
No, I still don't know who it is. I'm going to text you right away.
on Instagram stories or something.
Yeah, I'll post.
I know you're going to text me, but is it?
I'll post as soon as I leave. I'll be taking notes the whole time. I'm up on the balcony because I got shitty seats because thankfully my sister Sarah was paying attention to her email from like 92nd Y because we love their talks there. Like,
yes,
I went to the Traders one, like all this stuff, but this went so fast. I was like scrambling to get 2 tickets together anywhere.
Oh my God.
In the place, and that's never happened before. Like, I've been to events with like Judd Apatow and John Mulaney and Bill Hader, like all at the peak of their shit. Never had a problem getting a seat. It's like, this is next level. Yeah.
Well, I literally cannot wait. That's happening tonight. So yeah. I mean, by the time you hear this, there's a lot of Love Island USA stuff happening right now.
Yeah,
so.
I'll recap as best I can on stories if I can get pictures and stuff. Sometimes they say no pictures, so I'll see what I can do.
Right. Even just the like bullet points of the big stuff. Hopefully they get into something juicy. They may not.
I'm not hopeful because Remy Bader is like an Instagram personality. She's not a host. So I don't know if she's really going to, I don't know if she's going to get into it. And sometimes they don't get into that stuff. Like, like at this one, they kind of wanted to be like lovey. Like, I went to an event for that show about Elizabeth Holmes. And so it was like Amanda Seyfried, William H. Macy. And William H. Macy was like in the middle of the scandal with his wife, like bribing their daughter to go to the college. And they didn't let anyone ask about it.
Okay.
So I think sometimes there's,
it's going to be sanitized, most likely.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it'll still be interesting. I'm just curious to know like who's going to be there.
I know, me too.
Okay. So that's Love Island USA. Now we're shifting to Love Island UK. This is there's so much to cover. I mean, the thing about not Love Island, Love is Blind. The show, I think it gets me every time because there's so many. The way they've formatted it is kind of genius. Like, there are these moments of anticipation in stages throughout the show. So it's like, first, like, who's going to connect in the pods? Who's going to get engaged? What will their reaction be when they see each other? What will it be like on their honeymoon? What will it be like when they move in together? Like, the slowest part of every season is like after they've moved in together. Yeah. Before they say I do. And then there's like, will they actually choose each other? So there's like 5 big things that you sort of are like anticipating from the show across a handful of couples. It's very exciting.
It's very exciting. And this year they did a really good job that like anybody we met in the beginning, in the initial episodes, like still matters. Like, I feel like when we were covering Love is Blind US, sometimes we'd have trouble because we would watch the first episode and then not talk about it till we'd watched 9, and there were people that were like
Right.
in the pods that didn't matter at all. Like everyone that they showed more or less has resurfaced in a
Yes.
very important way.
Yeah.
I was watching the first couple episodes with my husband, and he was like, "Oh, I always forget, like when they get engaged behind the walls, this really gets off the rails." It's like this show's off the rails the whole time. Like,
It is literally just off the rails, which is why it's so thrilling to watch. And
it's so fun.
I think what's interesting about this UK version, well, one, so like they don't choose one city, probably because the UK is smaller. So they have people from all over. Like they have a woman from Belfast in Ireland. They have people from Northern Ireland, London, like all over. And then when they actually move in with each other, like it's in a neutral spot in London. And then they like travel to these different places to see where people are from, which is an interesting element that I think is kind of cool. But also, I think the people, like in general, across the board, are more attractive. Like, do you know what I mean?
It was a really good looking group of people. I did think it was really interesting that it's not regional, because I feel like with these dating shows, the biggest issue is that you don't live anywhere near each other. And that's like a huge thing to figure out. But I almost wonder if like the regions of the UK are almost like too small. Like the US is like every city that they've done has over 1 million people of dating age. And I don't know population wise, like if that exists. And I thought it was like
people know each other, right?
Yeah.
Like, which we find out on Love Island UK all the time is like, oh, we run in similar circles. Even in this show, like Ollie and Kat are talking about the clubs they go out to. And it's like, you know, they probably like know similar people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just like, it probably just expands the dating pool a little bit more. And it is like geographically much smaller than the US.
Yes. Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I don't know what season this is of the UK version. Like maybe 3
I think it's the
or
first one.
Oh, it's the first one?
I think so, because none of the families really seem to know what like the experiment is. And I feel like it's kind of like they didn't know that it would lead to an engagement and marriage. So I think I think it's the first one.
Well,
I could be wrong.
I mean, I think in the US we see like they usually cast people who are attractive enough so that like you're not totally like, oh my God, who have I chosen? And I think that like, I don't know, I feel like some of these people are like beyond just attractive.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like the first season of US too, that was like hotter than most. So I think
I'm
like
trying
the
to
first,
remember who was on that.
like Lauren and Cameron and Burnett and Amber and Giannina and Damien, like those groups. But I do feel that it's always funny that they take that part out because they don't want to get into like, I mean, and it's still, discussions on looks still happen even in a group of fully attractive people. But I think you're right. They don't want to get into like, oh God, like.
Yes. It's also like a very diverse cast, which is always, I think, just makes things more entertaining. And I don't know, it's just it's an interesting peek into like the UK culturally also outside of Love Island.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, you get to see these people living their real lives. You get to meet their families. Like you get to see them where they live. Like, I think that can say a lot about people. You like kind of get to see them doing their jobs, like seeing Freddie in his frock to go to the funeral home was wild.
Die for. I love this man. Okay,
we got to talk about Freddie because my feelings have gone all over the place with him.
I know. I kind of left feeling a little bit differently, but I feel like the best way to talk about this is maybe go couple by couple, and work forward from there. So we can start with Catherine and Freddie.
Yeah, and then by proxy, maybe Ollie
and Demi.
And also Sam, which is a little bit like, okay.
The Sam part is weird.
Yeah, okay. So Kat and Freddie connected in the pods, and Kat was a little bit love triangle-y with Ollie, but really like Ollie and Kat both separately decided to go with other people. So it was kind of like, but they did have a connection. So there is a little bit of that. But
yeah, my early notes are like, wrap it up, Catherine and Freddie are it. Like, I thought they hit it off so quickly.
they did. But then it's like, as you reflect on it, it's like these two don't actually know anything about each other. Like they
No.
connected your meme about like their like grandmother's name and dad's middle name being the same as the grandfather's.
Yeah.
And it's like these are the most generic fucking names.
Yeah,
Like,
Mary
this
and
is-
William in the UK.
Mary is an excellent name. Let's
It
not
is,
hate on
but
that.
it's not for if your grandma is 90, it's not uncommon. Like
No, exactly. It's like these aren't uncommon names. So it's like not a huge surprise, but like literally Catherine was like crying.
yeah.
And Freddie, I think, was probably crying too. I don't know. I mean, it was just like, I feel like we didn't see a lot of substance from them.
No.
And it's hard to know because they can only show us so much. But it was just like, I don't really know what is. And then as we see them moving further along, it's like they're clearly sexually attracted to one another. So there's that. But like, just seems like they bicker all the time. They like talk about something and then Catherine
Constant.
gets mad about it. And then Freddie's sad. And then it's just like, that's their dynamic, which is so toxic.
Yeah, she's
He's tough.
she's done with him. Like at the point where we are, like she's annoyed by every little thing that he's doing. And that happens. There are days where you're like looking at your partner and you're like, oh my God, you're being the most
Stop.
annoying person in the entire world because they know how to poke your buttons exactly. And but a month into knowing each other, that's not really a good spot to be. And I think it's someone on TikTok had a really good point that like Catherine would be better off on a show like Love Island.
Yes.
Because of where her priorities seem to be. Like, her and Freddie hit it off in the beginning, but she really liked Ollie and she saw that someone else was super interested in Ollie, and it kind of became like, this is a game on. And
Yes.
and someone was like, I don't think she perceived Demi as a threat, and was very
No.
shocked because Demi is beautiful. She's a stunning woman. So is Catherine. But Catherine is very skinny. She used to be a ballerina. Like she's very stereotypically like the body type that knows that they can get a man whenever they want. And Demi like does boxing and plays football and like has you know a stronger, bigger body. And Demi has commented on like the fact that she would like walk in the room and every girl in there was so petite. And she was like, maybe I shouldn't have eaten that donut. And Catherine in particular is tiny, and they were competing for the same guy. And Catherine never perceived Demi as a threat until Ollie started like expressing that he felt a deeper connection with Demi, and that his connection with Catherine was just sexual. And I think it's the same thing with Freddie, where Freddie is so hot. Freddie is so hot.
So distracting.
So hard to look at. And and they had sex very quickly. It sounds like it was very fun. And I think that that's the issue, is that they don't know a lot about each other. I feel like I just talked in a crazy circle, but like they don't know a lot about each other, but she's so used to initial attraction being enough, and that's not the point of this show.
No, I mean, I've been making a list, and maybe I'll make a meme about it, of all the things that like should have been discussed in the pods that weren't. With them, it's like the cheating thing is coming up now.
I know.
Not even on day one of your honeymoon, like 3 days in, like now you're asking him about, like, this is important stuff to know about someone. Like we've seen these discussions happen in the pods on Love is Blind US like many times because it's important information to know, especially if it's a pain point for you.
Yeah.
Which Kat says it is. So it's like, you didn't think to talk about this before. And like, I just think it's such the way, like she was looking for issues with him. Like she's trying to sabotage this relationship.
Yes.
So, you know, cheating is not great. Freddie admits that he cheated. Like, he kind of did all the right things. He was like, I want to be honest with you. This is what happened. It happened once. Like, he didn't lie about any part of it, even though, like, clearly that would have been the easier way out. It happened 7 years ago. He's expressed his regret over and over to her. He's so, like, complimentary of her. He's so clearly in love with her. He's so clearly, like, just wants to be with her. that it's just like she's just looking for a reason to be mad at him, and this is one of the easy ways out. And I think like, you know, they've sort of brushed over it at this point, but like I don't know. I'm just like, how this man is like, he's so good looking, number
So
one.
good looking.
He's also emotionally available. He's nice. He's caring. Like the way he was with his family literally tore me to pieces.
Same.
Like when he asked his brother to be his best man, I was like, oh my God. Like I was crying.
He could
Like,
barely get the words out. And his brother has Down syndrome, and you can see how much his brother missed him while he was gone. That like
yes.
his only focus when they're like, Catherine, what about you? His brother Jack's only focus was being next to Freddie, and he just wanted to talk to Freddie because Freddie has been such a good brother to him and such a support to him that I'm just like this guy and the way that he talked about, like, this is flash forwarding a lot, but Freddie and Catherine meet two of Catherine's friends who are being so judgmental, and they're like, Freddie, what do you do for work? And Catherine starts laughing, and he's like, I don't really know why that's funny, but I'm a funeral director, and I get to help people through the hardest time in their life. Yeah. And it's like, that's the thing. Like, he has all this depth. Like, he's very intentional with how he talks about things. And then she's like, you're a funeral director? That's hilarious. Like, that must be so sad all the time. And he's like, it's actually not. It's actually a privilege. And like, when he came in to show her his little outfit, and he was like, this is what I would wear, and she's laughing at him, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what she wants
She's
from
so
him.
disrespectful towards him. I mean, the other thing is, like, he is clearly an introvert. Like, clearly an introvert. And she's like, she likes to go out and party. And he's expressed doubt about that. And then she starts going after him, like, stop saying that that's the only thing that I do. Stop saying that that's who I am. And it's like, that's not what he's saying. He's just pointing out that, like, this may be a point of difference between you two and how you live your lives together, and it could be an issue. And she's like not even letting him have any doubts. It's like she needs to call all the shots. Yep. Which is the same that we saw in the dynamic with Ollie, which I had a big problem with, because Ollie, like, I don't know, they were both over it at that point. That's the way I read it too, was that like he was done, Catherine was done, and she kind of said it first, and that was just what it was. But in any case, like, Freddie is a very kind person. Like, the only thing that gave me a little bit of like was like when she was talking with, was it her friends or other pod ladies? It wasn't with Freddie. It was like about how he said like he wouldn't even notice her if she walked by in her
naked
underwear. Did you clock that? What was that?
Yeah, it was like she was talking about how the girls will like do like sexy lingerie for their guys, and Freddie just doesn't care about that. And he said like, I wouldn't notice if you were naked. And I kind of was weird about that too, but I can also kind of understand what he was maybe trying to say. Like, I think he was just trying to say like, I always think you're attractive, so it wouldn't matter if you were like wearing lingerie or if you were naked. I'm always going to find you attractive. And he does. Like, he's very touchy with her. He's all over her. Like, they famously had sex twice on their first night together. Like, he's very interested in her. He's always telling her she's beautiful. And I think like, and she is beautiful. I think this might be the first time that she's in a relationship where the guy is equal to her or hotter than her. And this is kind of spiraling her.
As they say, I think she's punching. She's
I love that phrase so much.
I love it so much. It's so good. And like, Freddie is, I don't know. I'm like, to Patrick, I was just like, Patrick, where did they find this guy? Where did they find this guy? He is like, he's just, you know, he's not perfect, but he has so many amazing qualities, and someone who is so good looking. Like, it's just very rare to find.
It's extremely rare that a blue-eyed man with the six-pack can also be thoughtful and like, and want to just stay in. And like, I think the concerns about her going out all the time are not like, no, don't go out with your friends, don't go somewhere fancy. It sounds more like, I just need to make sure you have time for me, and that the simple life that I'm committed to leading is good enough for you. And I think like, I want to talk about this with Tom and Maria. I think class is playing a role here in a different in a different way.
Oh yeah, like yes,
like
for sure.
Like wealth status.
Kat
and
is feeling
not class.
superior to Freddie.
Yeah, she's feeling superior to Freddie, and I think he comes from like this very humble background and has worked very hard to get his house and his job and to care for his family. And I don't know if it's been the same for Kat. I can't really tell, but I think she does like these fancy things, and
yeah,
she
was very
fine.
impressed when she saw he had a house.
Yeah,
and
the
mirror in his bedroom. That's one of my favorite parts of the season. Was he was like, "What? It goes with the decor.
It goes with the decor." And like I normally would be like, "Okay, a girl helped you buy that." It was ugly, so like a girl with like not my taste would buy it. But I feel like he genuinely walked into like a Home Goods or something and saw like a sparkly mirror and was like, "Oh, I like that." Like, I really believe it from him.
Totally, 100%. He's like, "I'll buy it. It's classy."
That's great. It's got sparkles. It's classy. And just brings it into his room. I also love his accent so much. Like
he's a northerner.
It's a northerner. He sounds like. Did you watch Ted Lasso?
I didn't know.
He sounds like this guy Jamie Tart on it. That's from Manchester, and I just love the accent so much. And like,
Patrick went to that region of the UK last fall, and he was like, "These people sound exactly like those people," and it was like,
they do.
Okay,
they really do. And yeah, I think that even the prenup thing was a little bit bratty from Kat, and I think that she maybe wants to be cared for. Like, yes, you are getting married, but he also met you a month ago, so no, I do not think he should leave you his house at this point.
And he has major concerns about the relationship. I mean, you can see Freddie be broken down episode by episode.
So quiet.
Like, he's becoming less and less charitable about the situation. And like, no, I don't like. I hope to God these two do not get together. Like,
they cannot get married.
Say yes to each other. I just hope that Freddie says no first. I mean, I think if the producers know what's good for them, they'll give Freddie his redemption story because that's what we all want. We love this man.
Yeah.
But I like the way she reacts to the prenup. I think prenups on this show should be standard for everybody.
They're a great idea. Like,
they're a great idea.
They are a great idea. Like, my husband and I do not have a prenup, but we are both coming into this relationship with nothing. And we knew each other for 8 years before we got married.
Right.
So, but I studied family law, and a prenup is a great idea if you do not know the person that you're marrying. And also, like, 100%. Don't ask your stupid friends for legal advice and be like, "Well, no, you can't change a prenup." Yes, you fucking can. You are not.
Especially not, what were their names? Tally and blah, blah, blah. Like, fuck
know.
These women.
I'm
sorry. They were like, as you said, disrespectful, annoying, like.
Brats.
And like, reflection, these are your best friends? Okay, Kat. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree friend-wise.
Yeah. Not at all. And I'm just like, you can undo a prenup. You are not going to sign a document at the beginning of your marriage that lives on in perpetuity. They like that. No. I obviously don't know the UK legal system, but I believe globally forever contracts are just a no-no because things change. And at this point,
you can renegotiate them at any point in your relationship.
100%.
Freddie would be stupid not to do one, and he's clearly has worked hard for what he has major concerns about this relationship.
Yeah.
Like, all this stuff. I mean, in the preview then we see Kat being like, if it's going to be a no, there's no way I'm walking up there. And it's like, she just has to have the last laugh.
I know.
There's this arrogance that comes with it that I'm just like, oh my God. So then when we see her flirting with Sam at the fucking party, I was like,
have a meme about
could
that.
this not be a better match? Like these two are made for each other.
They belong together. They both
belong together.
They both went on a show called Love is Blind and wanted love to be based entirely on the way that they look. And when she was like, I when I go out, I need a lot of attention and reassurance. And if I'm not getting that from Freddie, I'm going to get it elsewhere. Not how a relation. And she goes, I'm a naturally flirty person. Like, I can see how it could appear flirty. It's like, could appear. You're literally doing the most basic, like slapping him on the arm, like keeling over at his jokes. Like, you're doing
Let's not forget how she goes around telling everybody that he looks exactly like her ex-boyfriend. The way she said it to Freddie was so disrespectful.
Yeah.
I was just like, girl, get off my screen. I am so like done with your shit. Like, I know. Especially with this kind man. Like, I just can't handle it anymore.
And it's like, and then he goes, yeah, Charlotte's attractive. And she's like, how's that supposed to make me feel? And it's like, this whole week you've been parading him around to your friends and every single one has said, he's not what we expected him to look like physically. And then you're going to say, someone who looks like your type physically is here. Like,
right.
I can be sympathetic to an extent because I'm not adopted. I don't know what that feels like. And I can imagine it would require a lot of reassurance that like you are being chosen and that you are being accepted and I'm not going to regret you. I'm not going to reject you.
Right.
That's not really what's happening here. Like, I think she's kind of, as you said, like reaching for reasons and wants him to end it first.
No,
so she can kind of be like, well, I was done too. Like,
she's being manipulative and like, it's not just that. And she's treating him like shit. Like, there's just so many other things that contribute to this whole situation. Like, it can be all of these things and it is all of these things, really. So, yeah I really hope they don't work out. The whole like her and Ollie thing at when they all met in the retreat portion of this. It's funny how they call it a retreat, not a honeymoon.
I know.
Which I appreciate because it really should be a retreat. It's not a honeymoon.
You're not married.
But like this whole thing of, she kept looking at Ollie and like, I don't, do you think Ollie was actually interested? I don't think he was. Like, I think he was like initially like, oh, she's pretty, she's attractive. I would probably have sex with her.
I think that Ollie, as he talked about, and we'll get into, he has ADHD. He's just looking around the room constantly. Like, he's not looking any type of way. And I think he wanted to get that conversation out of the way. I think Ollie like has a good heart, but as they would say, he can be a little bit of a lad. And so he can like talk about like he'll talk about girls in a way that I personally would not want my fiance talking about girls. And that's something that he has to figure out. But I don't think it's any particular like, oh, I made a mistake. Like it should have been her. Like
no. Like the way he talked about whoever it was when she walked in at the bar night was a lad like way of speaking.
Yeah, like
it was a lad. Like, I'm with the lads, and this is how I'm going to talk about this girl. And it's like,
the editing of it was so perfect. Where he goes, "I don't think another girl could catch my interest." Immediately after, who's that? And then he's going to his friend. She's mad. She's berserk. She's sublime. I'm like,
yeah, like cut it out a little bit. Just cut it out. Yeah, I mean. Okay, let's talk about Ollie and Demi.
I love Demi.
I love Demi. I love Ollie too.
Yeah,
I like both of them a lot.
Yeah,
I do think they're best friends.
Yeah, I don't think they should get married. I don't. I think they mutually don't have a ton of sexual tension between the two of them that should really be there, like at this stage. Yeah, and I don't think you have to jump into bed with people right away, but I think we've seen a pattern that the people who don't feel the impulse to sleep with each other immediately tend to enter this friend zone. And like, like I go back and forth where I'm like, I love seeing him so comfortable with her family and he's affectionate in front of her family and they're so cute together. And I love that she can be the person that he opens up to about having ADHD and that she clocked it so quickly that she noticed these things about him. And those are all a good foundation for a marriage, but like they don't flirt with each other.
No, it's like they connect on a really deep friendship level. They really are there for each other. They have fun together. Like they have a connection for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking, I'm like, I don't think Bachelor Data covers Love is Blind on her like pop culture data thing. Yeah. But I would love for her to do a thing on how many couples who don't sleep together at the retreat or honeymoon or whatever make it to the end? Because I think it's probably 0%.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Johnny and Amy didn't sleep together, but they were very vocal about the fact that they were fighting the urge to sleep together. Like they were like, were like had this
that
whole
was a different
situation. Like they had this whole debate about birth control and that. So that was like they very clearly wanted to sleep together, and you could tell they had done anything but like
right.
But I think Demi and Ollie give a quick kiss and rolled over and went to sleep.
Yeah, and you're right. It's coming from both sides. Like, it's not like, oh, he's not showing attention or interest. She's not showing interest. It's like kind of both of them aren't showing interest in that way. I really am glad that they found each other because I do think that they can be great support systems for one another, maybe like forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that they should get married. I don't think they're going to.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell either. We see them. Do we see them at the altar in the preview, or we just see them dressed up? Okay,
we do see them at the altar. Ollie. I said this to Patrick last night. I think this is how I feel about him. He's an eternal optimist. Like, yeah. He is good at paying lip service to things and saying, everything's good. Like, we're all happy. Like, things are moving in the right direction. But, I mean, how many times have we seen him say, like, everything's good?
Yeah.
When it's clearly not.
No, the two of them that last day in the retreat, both of them were like, we're fine. Why is everyone acting like we're not fine? We're fine. And then he's like, I just want to go home. Like, I'm done with this. And I'm glad they've come off of that because that was like that. And I think it's clear seeing who Ollie hangs out with at these later events that his friends were not there. Like, and I think that played a big part in it is that he wasn't close with anybody who got engaged that got to stay.
Right.
So I think that was also part of it. And Demi had her best friends there. Like Jasmine and Demi, like I think are really best friends and still are. And so I think that was like hard, but
I don't love that Ollie was good friends with Sam.
I was just thinking that.
I don't love that.
I don't like that at all. Like I think that is a flag. I think another flag. And Ollie said that Demi did get to meet his family, but it got cut. The only friend he brought to the tux fitting was a guy from the pods.
Yep. Is that true? There wasn't anyone else?
I don't think so.
Huh. That makes me feel a little sad, actually.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. I'm glad he didn't bring Sam, though. That says something. I think
I think
Sam
he would have brought Demi,
and he latched on to Ollie and a few other guys in that way. But yeah, okay. Who should we talk about next?
Yeah, I just love Demi's family. That's the last thing I wanted to say. I love that group of people. Like when they were bowling and her mom, like when they were trying on the dress and her mom goes, Daddy and I have created such a wonderful girl. And Demi was like, you guys have given me such a great example to look up to. And like, I think she is leaning towards the best friend thing because you can tell her parents are also best friends. And so I think that's what she's like modeling after.
Yeah.
But I just loved them and I wanted to just give them a shout out.
Oh, yes. No, I appreciate that because I loved them too. The
Such
bowling
a good
date
looking
was
family
so cute.
too. So cute.
It was so cute. Okay, should we talk about Tom and Maria?
Yeah. I don't know how to feel. I really like her.
I really like both of them, actually. I think, and this is how I know I'm like, you know how like you get older and then you're like attracted to people who are older?
Yeah. I think he's attractive too.
I think Tom is the most attractive guy in the show. Isn't that funny? I knew you were going to react that way. I knew it.
Okay. This is not to say he's not attractive, but like, yeah, Freddie is there.
I think he's hot. I think he's really hot. And I think maybe it is an age thing. We're the same age.
Mate, you are?
Yeah, we're 38, both of us.
Oh, he looks so much older than you, which is a common theme on this podcast that Indra looks great.
Yes, I'm almost 40.
Everyone's always like, ready. No way. I think I do think he's attractive in a different way. We'll talk about them later. I really like Steven.
Interesting.
I
Because
find
I think
Steven really
Steven is
attractive.
annoying as fuck.
I love when we disagree about this stuff.
I love it. I mean, we can agree on Freddie, but like,
of course.
Freddie's
I think
yeah,
the world
like,
agrees on Freddie. I couldn't sleep with
right.
Freddie. It's that classic thing of like, I physically do not think I could sleep with him because he's too hot. And I would just be like,
so self-conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like our bodies, like his hard body and me just like, I would just be like an absorbent pillow to him. I don't think I can handle that.
God, Mary, that is so not true. Freddie is, yeah, okay. So Freddie's out of it. I mean, but even then, I actually think I find Tom more attractive than Freddie because, okay, it's not, as usual as it is with me, it's not just looks.
Right.
I like how Tom is. I think I don't like aspects of him. Like, I don't like his judginess. I don't like how he's clearly, as you said, bringing up the class situation, like from an upper class, bougie kind of business oriented thing, which I think he's entitled to be however he wants to be in this relationship. So there's that. But I do think he's a really excellent listener.
Yes.
And I think that he has emotional depth to him that is surprising for some of the other ways that he is. But like, I think that he is interested in people. He's interested in his partners. He's supportive. I don't know. You can just feel that he really cares about people, which I don't know. I just like that about him. Yeah. Anyway.
I like him too. And I originally like had made a meme about how he was like so not problematic. And then like literally as I was making that meme, the like class conversation bubbled up.
Yes.
And I think it's something that obviously exists here, of course, but I think it is more overt and less like taboo to talk about in the UK is how different jobs and degrees and where you went to even like primary school can be very divisive to people. And it's hard to have a relationship across those boundaries. Oh my God, I didn't even say the biggest news at the top is that Molly May and Tommy Fury broke up. So I'll talk about that when we're done with our recap.
Okay.
But, that just reminded me because it's kind of like it was kind of at play in that relationship. And so I think that I think he was surprised that it bothered him that Maria was a makeup artist. I think he was surprised that that's like ingrained in him, which I appreciated that he was like, I don't want to feel that way. Like, I don't think I'm right, but I do, unfortunately. And I think that was really honest.
It was really honest. And I think like, and we have to give him credit for then still choosing her anyway.
Of course.
And like seeing this relationship through, like, yeah, there is acknowledgement of it. I was actually looking at his stories this morning and he had like an Ask Me Anything. And one of them was in relation to that. And he reiterated like it shouldn't be a thing. And like it is something that like I'm working to change. He also mentioned someone asked him about Tash and he was like, he said some complimentary things about her and said it's been nice getting to reconnect with her over the last few weeks. So I don't think that they end up together when it comes to Tom and Maria. I think we saw in the initial preview Maria crying and getting into a limo after the wedding. So I'm pretty sure this does not work out. And I think that's probably a good thing. What were you going to say? Because then I want to talk about Maria.
Yeah, I think that that's right. I don't think that they should get married. I think it's another situation where I'm glad that they met each other and they're very good friends for each other and they can talk about a lot of stuff. And like, I like that Maria called him on his shit where she was just like, no, that is messed up that you would judge someone for their job and that you would have a hard time framing to your friends that I'm a makeup artist. Like I've worked very hard to get where I'm at. And, you know, her mother's an immigrant. And I think that there is this, you know, just this past 2 weeks, we've been seeing in the UK that there are these horrific protests going on that these disgusting, mostly men, have taken to the street and are claiming that immigrants are taking all of their jobs and that they're taking their country back and assaulting people, you know, black and brown people who appear not to be born in the UK. And I think that that's something that is not going on in Tom's mind, obviously, but that's something that's like running in the undercurrent of the UK right now.
It's a part of society that we are all subject to, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. And here it's very similar. You know, the rhetoric for Trump is the exact same. And so I think that it's interesting to look at like their relationship in that context. And I appreciate that Maria is there to be like, no, that's messed up. And like, you know, we've done X, Y, and Z to like get to where we are today. And you're going to come to my house and like, I'm Muslim and this is the things that I expect about a relationship. Some of the things that she expects I disagree with, but I think like,
yeah.
But I think it was really cool, speaking of diversity, to see like them share the meal and her mom talking to him and him being so sweet with her mother. Like when she was like, "Can I have your arm?" And he was like, "Of course," and walked her out. And seeing her family was very special. But yeah, we can talk about Maria now.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was really respectful in that space, and I think it was important for Maria to show him that space. And you know, it was a really nice scene. I appreciated like that whole part of the show. I love Maria and how strong she is and how she called him out on that shit and how I think she calls him out on shit regularly. Like she has a strong mind. And so some of her more regressive views when it comes to like feminist things really throw me for a loop.
Yeah, I was confused.
And you know, I think I have maybe a unique perspective here because I come from an immigrant background as well. My parents both immigrated here from India. You know, they had an arranged marriage. There are traditional values baked within our culture for sure. And I think my parents have been more liberal than other immigrant Indian families that I've seen in some ways not. But what's been clear to me in that whole experience, and it's not that Maria needs to feel the same way, but it gives me pause is like, I get to make my own decisions and like there are these things that happen and whatever and traditional values. And it's not that I'm not like subject to those feelings from my parents because I absolutely am. But like what I've made very clear decisions for myself around how I would like to be financially independent, how I would like to, you know, regardless of my partnered situation, how I would like to, you know, on Patrick and I's first date, we went Dutch and I wanted it to be that way, you know, like it wasn't, I don't know, like there wasn't anything weird to me about that. And I think that's where Tom's kind of value set is at as well. But Maria's is not.
Yeah.
And I think Maria's making a choice to have those more traditional values when it comes to gender roles.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, and I don't agree with that choice. Like, I didn't love the conversation about how I expect my husband to provide for me so I can stay home with my children. I didn't love that. I didn't love you know, Tom should have paid for our first date. Like, that's a gentlemanly thing to do. Those were like some serious things that I was like, Maria, I like you, but ugh.
Yeah, I think it's a very convenient tradition to uphold. And I'm saying that lightly as a white person, but I'm from like part of my family is very old school Italian. And so there is that kind of like, well, the woman's the princess. She never pays for anything.
Right.
Like, whatever. And, you know, when my husband and I met, I was doing like a volunteer service year in Texas. I had $100 a month. If we wanted to go to dinner, it was very clearly talked about. Like, I cannot afford to go to dinner. If you would like to take me to dinner, then it's unfortunately going to be on you. But if like I can cook us dinner, I can do all these other things, but like I cannot afford to go to dinner. And
it was a conversation. It made sense. It wasn't like I automatically expect you to do this because of your gender.
Exactly. And now that like I am making more money, it's not just assumed that it's going to be his credit card. I mean, we're married now, so it's our credit card. But like it's not just before we got married, it's not just assumed that it's going to be like his credit card that goes down for no reason. Like a lot of the things that we do are in proportion to our income, which are income our income levels have shifted throughout our relationship. So
Yep.
I think it's a convenient thing to forget because I don't want to spend money. Like, who wants to spend money?
Right. Right.
Who wants to work? Like, I think that's like, they're very convenient times to say that I'm this traditional and other times to push back against it. And I'm not saying that that's where she's coming from, but that's how I felt, where I was just like,
yeah,
there are many other things that you are doing that are not traditional, but this is
right.
this is one
Right.
to, it's not the one I would hang my hat on, that I need him to respect my traditions. That's not the one that I would just say like,
no, it feels very convenient in these specific ways. And, I think Tom expressed that he wants equal partnership. And, one of the things in his Ask Me Anything actually on the stories was like, someone was like, you should have, like, you're almost 50 years old, which is not true, but like, you should be paying for the woman. And he was like, I think that mindset is 50 years old. And, I agree with him. I think it's like, if these should be discussions.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be assumed either way in any case. And it, like, we're seeing financial things come up a lot in this season. And we've seen it in other seasons of the USA version. Like, it is a conversation that, like, you need to have before you marry someone, when you get into a relationship with someone, whatever. And then you need to keep having those conversations because things will change if you are really going to be together forever. And you need to decide where your priorities are and how things shift and whatever based on your circumstances. All I know is that, like, for me, it was a point of pride going into a relationship being like, yeah, we are on equal footing here. There is not like a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Like, that was important to me. And it's a little concerning, I think, to Tom that that's not important to her, because I think it's important to him.
Yeah, I think it's great that it's important to him. Like, I think that is such like it's such a modern view of a relationship, and I think does set the trend for how it's going to be going forward. I kind of understand her point that she doesn't want to pay into his mortgage unless she's added to the deed.
Oh, yeah.
I understand that, because I also would not want to pay equity into someone's house if I'm not going to be the beneficiary of that equity. I get that, but
hello prenup.
Yeah, hello prenup. Exactly.
Like, put it into the prenup.
Put it into the prenup that I get my equity back if we break up.
Right.
Like, that's the thing that drives me crazy about the prenup discussion, is that it's not just one-sided. Catherine, you can also put things in that protect you as well.
Exactly.
Like, it can be such a mutual document. And so, yeah, why not do that? I think they're another couple. I think they might get married. I don't think they should. I think that they both...
I don't think they're going to. Like, I really think Maria runs out crying. I'm like 99% sure I saw her running out crying.
Not that I want her to cry, but I do hope you're right. I don't think...
No, I don't want her to cry either, but like, no, they're not on the same page values wise.
Yeah.
And ultimately, years down the line, if you start a family, even if you don't like just whatever, those are the things that are gonna like really fuck up a relationship. And it's not that people can't change or morph or evolve, but like, Maria seems pretty steadfast in how she believes on these specific things, and Tom does too. And I don't see either of them really kind of caving to the other. Like, you can see how uncomfortable Tom is with this discussion in front of his sisters around money. And when his sister was like, well, it was just an ice cream.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, can we chill, Maria? Like, it was like $10. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's also like most of what you're doing right now is being paid for by the show. So like,
right.
like when she was like, I would be embarrassed to be seen paying for a date. It's like, no one is thinking that much about you. No one is clocking like, oh, she pulled her credit card out. Like, no one is thinking that. It's just like, half the time men don't carry a purse. So it's like, I have the purse. Like, like
like, calm down, Maria.
I don't want to say that it's like, I'm not saying she's hypocritical or anything. I just do think it is an interesting one to hang this greater discussion about finances and fundamentals of how we're going to view our relationship going forward on paying for dates.
Exactly. Okay. Other couples. We have Jasmine and Bobby, which like there's kind of nothing to say other than like Jasmine's mother is scary.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about. I really like them. I think they'll get married. I think they'll stay married. I really like her. I think she's like a really good friend to all of the girls. Like she's not uncomfortable being like, "Hey, you know, this was fucked up. Like you need to apologize for what you said. What you should have done is gone to talk to your girl instead." And like Ollie started to clam up because he wasn't ready for someone to hold him accountable. And I'm just glad that she did it.
I wish she had done it in not that context, I have to say.
Yeah, maybe.
They were drunk, very clearly. And it was kind of in a group of people. Like, I wish that she probably didn't have the opportunity to like pull Ollie aside like on the retreat. So that was her time. But like, I appreciated what she said. I didn't love the context in which she said it. And some of her delivery I thought was a little bit intense. Yeah. Ollie was clearly not in a space to receive it at that time. And it doesn't mean she shouldn't say it, but it was just tough to watch.
Yeah. Hard to watch. And yeah, I think but I ultimately like the mission of it. That mom is going to be a problem their whole relationship.
Wow. Yeah.
She's going to be an ongoing, and it does seem like, and one thing I did appreciate about her is that she was very much on Bobby's side, where she was like, our relationship is changing because I am now going to be in a family with someone else. And this is something that like my husband and I have an ongoing like conversation about, because I'm very close to my family. He talks to he's close with his family, but like, and there's varying opinions on how everybody lives their life. And so there has to be this kind of like, this is us. We love you guys. We'll consult you if we need to, but like, I'm not going to tell you about a fight over the dishwasher. And she was like, no, you have to tell me.
I know. I was like, she's like, no, you need to tell me everything.
I was like,
and it's like,
yeah,
girl, no.
Get your own life. I'm like, I'm
Get
so
your
sorry.
Own life.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, you've been like, so sorry you've been divorced twice, that you have trouble trusting men. You need to find someone else that can be your confidant and your person besides your daughter, because this is like this is borderline like abusive, like how controlling her mom is.
I know. I was like, it's you know what's interesting is like sometimes when you have parents that are that wildly narcissistic and toxic, their children sort of end up swinging the other way because they've just been around that so much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that like that's what we're seeing with Jasmine, because like Jasmine is like really, she's very direct. Mm-hmm. She's very open. She's very like, I don't know. She has depth to her that like her mom clearly has negative depth.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I just think she's like, her mom even being like, it's better to be with someone educated. And she was like, Bobby is educated. He just didn't go to university. Like
it was so rude. She was so rude.
Bobby,
the way that she like dismissed him completely.
I know.
When coming into his home.
Yeah.
Like insulting his education background in front of him.
Yeah.
The way that he grabbed Jasmine's hand when she said that.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is like, Bobby is a stronger man than I if he can like truly put up with that. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and he said there's going to need to be some boundaries drawn. And like, I really hope that they draw those boundaries like immediately.
I think that she will, because like from that first conversation, she already did. And I think like there is resentment for how her mom was like going through your child's phone bill and calling every single person on it. And if they are a boy, saying, do not contact my daughter again, and blocking them.
That's wild.
That's very, very controlling. That is like, it's next level. And so for Jasmine to be as independent as she is, like, I need the number of her therapist, because whoever got her to this point did such a good job. And I think because she has a narcissistic mother, she clocks narcissism very quickly in other people. Like,
right.
She clocked it with Sam.
With Sam, immediately. She knew
Immediately.
one, like, which is like, okay, so then we go to Nicole. And like, I really like Nicole. I actually love her and Benaya together. I'm obsessed with them.
Love them together. I like am kicking my feet. I love them together. I literally think they're so cute. And they are just
so cute.
They're two souls who are just so meant to meet. Like they really they activate every part of each other.
I know. The one thing that's like a little is like Nicole clearly cannot admit that she was wrong about Sam. Like,
yeah,
she keeps being like, no, but there is something. And she's right. I do think Sam is misunderstood on some level. He's also an arrogant prick.
Yes.
And like,
yeah,
it's okay to acknowledge that like you made the wrong decision because you were feeling unsure about this other connection. Like, she can't admit that, which I find endlessly frustrating, and clearly Benaya does too. And he's so kind about it. Like,
I know.
Benaya, this man,
yeah,
is fucking downing espresso martinis and
know.
shots, like getting so drunk to go and talk to Sam.
I know.
He's so wasted. And like, even within that like ridiculous conversation, when Sam takes it to the inappropriate max and says, Nicole wanted to sleep with me, you should know that, right? Like, Benaya's reaction, even as drunk as he was kind of amazing. He laughed, took a second, and said, that was really disrespectful.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
He went and like was upset about it, and then he did not repeat it to Nicole later.
No, because his part was like, he was not upset that Nicole maybe did want to sleep with Sam. He was upset that Sam outed her and was using it to be like, I rebuked her. Like, I rejected her. Like, I could have had her and you have her, and that's my sloppy seconds. Benaya is so good with his words. He's so good. Even-tempered. And I think that's I read Nicole's comments about Sam a little bit differently. I think she's a little bit like woo-woo and very like trying to be at peace with the universe in a way that I cannot manage. And I think that that's kind of what she's saying, is that like, this happened. I have to acknowledge that it happened, that it was real to me at that time, and now it's over. And I think that that's like, kind of more this like, whatever happens is supposed to happen, and it's brought us up to be aligned with exactly where we are. And I think Benaya does agree with her, but he's a little bit like, but I also need you to tell me that like,
he sucks.
He sucks. Yeah. Not that you made a mistake, but that you were that he fooled you and he sucks.
Right.
And you realize he sucks, instead of being like,
no, you're right. You're right. I think your read is right. And I think like it's a little source of tension between them. Do I think it's going to be a problem? Like, absolutely not.
Oh, they are going to sprint down the aisle. Like, they're so ready to be married. Like, they're so cute. Like, they just get each other.
And then like, meeting Benaya's mom and sister and finding out how heartsick he was.
He wasn't eating.
Oh my God. I was like, wow, this is like, and like just so beautiful that they got back together and like, they're such a beautiful couple. Like, I don't know. I just love everything about them.
They physically match. Like, they just have this like same aura to them. And like, I loved about his family where his mom was like, we're really upset. Like, I need to hear from you that like this is fine. And then they took her at her word. They were like, no, they're not going to like hold any hostility towards it. They're like, yeah, no, you understand and you love him.
Yeah.
When he met her parents and immediately as they're leaving, he goes, I love them to pieces. I love them to pieces. And they're just like, so cute.
Nicole's dad, by the way, what a fucking delight. That man is everything. I love him.
His jewelry, I was like, everything.
Oh my gosh. If those two somehow don't get married and don't stay together forever, like, love is dead.
Yeah, it would not be, it would not be like, it would not, I don't know.
Okay, we have to talk about Our last couple with, oh my God.
Sabrina and Steven.
Sabrina and Steven. Okay, so you think Steven is the hottest.
I don't know if he's the hottest. I just think he's very attractive.
Yeah.
And I really like them together. I think they're another couple
together.
that really fits. Like, it's like kind of the classic, like, black cat, golden retriever energy where she's a little bit more like, she's a little bit witchy and like, you know, and he's a little bit like skipping down the hallway and they just like go together so well. They just like really see each other. Like they really are meeting each other where they're at. And they look really good together too. Like I really think they fit.
Yes.
They fit. Like if they don't get married, I'll be extremely, extremely surprised.
There are no issues. The biggest issue we had was the friends being like, this is all a little fast, isn't it? And they're like,
fair.
Yeah, but we're having, and then they're like, oh, but you guys look great together. So everything's good. It was
like everything's fine. Like the way she talked about her grandmother and he just sat and listened to her. And he was like, I just want you to know that like when my grandfather died, he gave me a ring and I've worn it on every single one of my fingers. You know, as I've grown up, it's been on every finger as it's fit me. Like I was just like, that's real bonding. Not like, oh, our grandparents have the same name, but like we value our grandparents in the same way and we want to honor them.
Yes. True values, real intent, emotions, all the things.
True values. Like when he said like, she's so beautiful on the inside and she's got outer beauty to match. And they were just like giddy to meet each other. Like I just thought, I was like, this is it. Like they just already seem like they've been together for like 10 years.
Forever. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess the other potential thing is like, and this is where the regional thing comes in, is like she lives in Northern Ireland and he lives in London. Yeah. Luckily, she lives in Belfast, which is like a big city for Ireland. It's still not London, but like, I'm curious. Like, I absolutely think they're getting married. I wonder where they're going to end up location-wise.
Yeah, they both seem kind of not attached to where they live in a way that I think is good for this kind of show, where it's like, she's like, it doesn't have to be Belfast. It doesn't have to be London. And he was kind of like, it doesn't have to be 100% either way. Like, we can do both until we have a family. Right. And figure that out together. I really think that they're going to get married. Mm-hmm. I think Bobby and Jasmine are going to get married. Nicole and Benaya. I think Demi and Ollie will not get married. Catherine and Freddie will not get married. And Maria and Tom, I'm 50-50.
I hope they don't get married. Yeah. And honestly, if that's how it all shakes out, like, I think that's how it should be.
It's a great season.
And yeah, I think it's been nice to see some normal looking people on the TV.
Normal, attractive people. Yeah.
Very attractive. Like, actually, Jasmine, I wish she wouldn't wear so much makeup. She looks so beautiful without it.
I know. I think it's just like a presentation thing. Like, I think her mom was very like, you have to be put together before you leave the house. Right, and I think that's what it is. But yeah, she's very beautiful. Like, yeah, they're all really good looking. Do you think the Tash and Tom thing is going to be an issue, or that's going to kind of come up late? Like,
no, I don't think that's going to be an issue for the rest of the season. I think, and like, I think he's very like in it with Maria right now. Yeah, I think ultimately he is going to decide that their values are not aligned. Like, I think that's really going to be it for them. Yeah. From that AMA thing that I saw today, though, I wonder. Well, one, I wonder if they're gonna have a reunion. Maybe they are. Maybe they're filming one right now. Yeah. And or like a postseason thing that they sometimes do, like a couple episodes, and maybe those two are gonna reconnect. That was a connection that I felt like they had some sort of like weird je ne sais quoi with one another, but I didn't like hear a lot of like substance in the connection, and maybe that's something that would grow later. Like, I just didn't like hear them like really talking about anything.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think that they just were attracted to the sound of each other's voices, and then in person they were attracted to each other physically, and so I also would not be surprised if they rekindle, but I don't think out of any like, oh, when I was with Maria, I was wondering about Tash still or whatever. Like, I don't think there'd be any of that. I thought I saw that the reunion was confirmed. So I'm hoping that it's going to be, because I think it's performing well. So let me look it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's like always in the top 10 on my Netflix app.
Yeah.
Like top 5, really. I mean, it's a good season, and like as far as all these like things are happening around the world for Love is Blind, it's like watching one in English is helpful.
Very helpful. Like,
you know,
I don't think I'd be able to like watch like Love is Blind Mexico. It would bother me that it was dubbed. And like I do speak Spanish, but I think it would just be too fast for me to even take in what's going on.
Right, totally. Yeah, there's okay, well I really hope there is a reunion. I mean, okay, so 9 episodes have come out already. I think there's 3 or 4 more.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So the reunion's going to be August 26th.
Okay. So
August 26th, and then let me see. Sorry, it's showing me so
Monday.
many ads on this website. Yeah, the 1 through 4 was the 7th, 5 through 9 the 14th, 10 through 11. So just 2 more. The 21st.
Just 2 more. Yeah,
just
I
2
mean,
more.
You can see that they already did the wedding dresses and tuxes and stuff. So the last 2 episodes are probably going to be the weddings.
Yeah, the weddings, and I think that that's good pacing. Like I think doing the bachelor party and then the weddings and just having it be 2 episodes, like I feel like we know them enough. We can kind of get a sense of the dynamic, and there's no partner swaps.
I appreciated that they didn't spend too much time in the wedding shop.
Yeah,
on this season, that part is always like, I hate it.
And I liked the dresses a lot more than I liked the US ones. Like they were kind of like more normal looking wedding dresses as opposed to this like insane like bodycon and like
right. Oh yeah, totally. I don't love wedding dresses in general. So I think people look better in other things.
Of course.
Generally.
That was like the issue when I was like trying on the wedding dress, and I was like, I don't know. Like I liked what I picked, but I was kind of like, this is like a big ass gown. It's just kind of like a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, it is a thing, and I think like obviously, I don't know. I've never worn. If I got married, I wouldn't wear a white wedding dress anyway. But I think that like, yeah, I was just like, all these women have looked a lot better this season than they do in these dresses.
Yeah,
like,
especially like when you go try it on, it's like it was so sweaty and like and like so many dresses in a row and if they don't fit,
overwhelming.
They're like clipped. Yeah, it was overwhelming. And then I had a whole situation where like the dress I picked the first time, like they fucked it up in alterations, and I had to buy a new dress, and it was just like so much pressure on this one dress, and I was so distraught and upset about it. And then I was distraught that I was distraught and upset, because there is this like expectation on like how you look on that day, and it is like weirdly emotional. I don't know. And then like we had this classic joke that when I was getting ready, I got prom like years and years ago. I spend the whole day, I get my makeup done professionally for the first time in my life, but right before I go, my dad goes, "You look better without makeup," and sends me off. And so I had to say to him, I was like, "Dad, I know I don't look like I normally look, but when you are walking me down the aisle, you cannot say I look better without makeup. Like today you can't say that."
Like this is the day.
This is the day where you're like, this is exactly how it should be. But then like I look at pictures and I kind of like our rehearsal dinner pictures better, because it looks more like me than our wedding day.
That's such an interesting reflection.
Yeah.
And makes a lot of sense. You know, like there's a lot of reasons why I'm not interested in having a wedding, but one of them is like, I mean, you know me, like I don't wear any makeup, mostly because I'm fucking lazy. And like I think I would feel pressure to like do a bunch of things that like I don't like doing, and in service of what?
Pictures later on.
Yeah, which like I don't know, that doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
And it's like It's like, why is that pressure there? It shouldn't be. You know, people should be able to go to their wedding in fucking jeans if they want.
Yeah, and just set the standard that that's what everyone wears. Like Deanna, I don't know if you've seen her wedding pictures.
I haven't, but she's told me about her dress so many times. It sounds amazing.
She wore the coolest, like retro, like vintage flapper dress that was like gold, and it was just so her. It just fits so well. And me, it was like I almost liked my wedding dress better when it rained. It poured on my wedding day. We went out into a field to take pictures anyway, and the bottom was like stained black, and like the bustle broke, and I was just whipping it around on the dance floor, and that's when I felt like more like me in my dress was when it was just like I've like lived in it a little bit. It's not this pristine white, and I'm just like whatever. It's just something I'm wearing, and I thought I looked very pretty, but I was just like I feel more like me later on in the night.
Well, it's kind of like also there's like an emotional weight that gets lifted maybe when the dress gets a little messed up. You're like, whatever, fuck it. It's my wedding day. I'm not gonna wear it again.
Yeah, now it's like in a box. Like and it's like gonna stay there forever. It's like, I'll show it to my kids, but it's like they're not gonna wear it. Like, what year is it gonna be? Are we gonna plan it? Like, they're not gonna wear my wedding dress. Like
there's so many It seems like, there's so many like interesting stories woven up in that. Which is really cool, I think. You know? And it's cool that you
journey.
have it now. It's a journey. It sounds like it was totally a journey. Oh my God, having to buy another dress 2 weeks before.
I think it almost like prepared me for like if anything goes wrong, like and people were like, "Oh, you're so calm. It's raining on your wedding day." And I was like, I literally almost had nothing to wear. And my sister-in-law, who I love dearly and is like my sister, gave birth 3 days before my wedding and she can't come. I was like, the worst is already happening. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what if it rains? Who gives a shit? Like,
right. It's like a large exercise in like letting go.
Yeah. And a lot of people like were complimenting that I didn't seem to give a shit. And I was like, oh, this feels cool too. That like people think I'm like cool girl right now.
Yeah. That's so funny. I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, that was our Love is Blind recap. We will have more. Maybe we'll do another episode next week if it warrants it. There's a lot of stuff happening next week. There's Jen's Hometowns. There's the Love Island USA reunion, and there's Love is Blind.
Yeah, we might have to do another episode. Yeah. I want to briefly touch on the Molly May Tommy Fury split.
Oh yeah.
I know you didn't finish this season, but this is an iconic Love Island couple. This is like one of the ones that are like up in the Hall of Fame. Like they've been together for 5 years. They're engaged. They have a baby.
They have a baby.
Oh. I saw this coming for many reasons. One, there was a video of him about 9 months ago dancing in a club with Chris Brown, which if you are still associating with Chris Brown, jump off a literal cliff. I do not care. That is disgusting.
Yeah. There's no excusing that. None.
This man is a confirmed habitual abuser, and he does not deserve a career, let alone a moment in this limelight. And videos of him recently, he literally looks like he's rotting away because he's evil, and good riddance. So that part. And then he's of traveler heritage. I don't know the right way to say that, but he's like, the travelers that live in the north of the UK and kind of like drive around, hop around, have a very different.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know about that.
Mm-hmm. He's from a very different background. Like his dad and I think his brother are very famous boxers, or I don't care I don't know what it is. Like it might be MMA or whatever. I don't know anything about that. And they live in RVs and they drive around and they move around a lot. And, they have children with multiple women, and the women stay home and the children are not schooled publicly and they are homeschooled, and you live in this very restricted community.
Okay. So that was something I was not expecting, was the
big
polyamory thing.
So, but Molly and Tommy have never agreed to be polyamorous. He never said that's something that he wanted.
Okay.
And Molly is kind of posh. Like she's very typical blonde girl from London, lives in Manchester now, has lived there for a long time. She doesn't just live there because of Tommy, but she's very posh from what I can tell and what I know about that.
Okay.
And wants her daughter to go to standard primary school and wants to have a house and doesn't want to like be living this traveler lifestyle where her daughter's going to be like homeschooled and I
she's
think,
home all the
she's
time.
home all the time. And like, she's the breadwinner in that family. She has like 7 million followers on Instagram. Like,
oh, shit. Okay.
So a lot of people are accusing him of cheating.
Okay.
I think a lot of evidence points to cheating. I think it did happen. But I also think this lifestyle thing, as much as you love each other, that's extremely hard to overcome.
Back to the values conversation. Like, it's like some core things. Like, I mean, it's not like it's not possible for him to reject that or even parts of that. Like, no, I don't expect you to be home with our kids and they can go to primary school and all this. Like, he could say that. But like, theoretically, she knew that he was not okay with that. I mean, happens all the time in relationships.
It happens all the time. I think they met so young. Like, I think they were like 22 and maybe even younger and just wanted the best. And
right.
I think she's like 25 now. So they're fairly young. And I think that they were just like hoping for the best and they really like loved each other and got along great. And so for everyone spiraling about this, I understand, but I think it was always going to happen, unfortunately, and time will tell.
Yeah. I'm sad that they have I'm not sad that they have a kid. That's great that they have a kid. And I am glad that they have the financial means to take care of that child.
Yeah.
So everything will be okay from that standpoint. But yeah. Wow. Now I want to like finish that season.
You should. It's a great season. And like,
I know it's the icon, like Georgia Steele is on that season.
Oh, she's on a different one.
She's not on that one.
She's on a different one, but Maura Higgins is on it. Yeah.
We love.
Maura is iconic on it. And like, I honestly can't wait to hear what she has to say about this Tommy, because her and Molly are still very close.
Ooh.
And I can't wait to hear what she has to say because Maura and Tommy almost ended up together. So it would be very interesting perspective.
Do you think Maura's going to be at this reunion?
I don't know. I haven't seen that she's in New York, so I don't know.
Probably not then.
I would love if she was there though, and
it was really smart to bring her on as like the after sun person.
She was perfect at it. I hope she sticks around because she's really good at hosting and just iconic.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to go.
I gotta go.
Yeah, me
too. We all have to go.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. Definitely follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, please. We've got all the content. We'll be posting like information as we have it. And so Can I Steal You for a Minute pod on Instagram. Okay. Love you all.
Love you guys.
Cheers, Lovebirds.
Thanks for listening to Can I Steal You for a Minute? Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and if you like the show, please leave a rating and review. Follow us on social media at Can I Steal You for a Minute pod, and support the show through Patreon at patreon.com/Can I Steal You for a Minute.